I don't have an agenda. Agenda. Oh, no meeting then.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking, as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Good morning. Hi, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome to the May meeting of the Hawaii Board of Nursing. We see that there's a guest who has their hand up. Nicole. It is, if your testimony is pertaining to your own application, we will get to that point in the agenda. If there's some other comment you would like to make to the board, you go ahead and keep your hand up, but we will get to your agenda. We'll get to your application later in the agenda. So if your testimony is about that, you can hang on and we'll acknowledge you then. Okay, in the meantime, some information about attending virtual board meetings. As a reminder, if you wish to submit written testimony on any agenda item on a Board of Nursing meeting, please submit your testimony to nursing@dcca.hawaii.gov or by hard copy to the address listed on the agenda. We request submission of testimony at least 24 hours prior to the meeting to ensure that it can be distributed to board members. If you are attending virtually, to view the meeting via internet and to provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of your agenda. You will be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address. You may fill in this field with any entry in a standard email format. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about that agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chair, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. If you are attending for audio-only access via telephone, when the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate that you want to testify by entering star and the 9 on your telephone's keypad. After entering star and the 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chair, you may unmute yourself by pressing star and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you're finished speaking, please enter star and then 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access, when testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If the connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time. The information for the rescheduled meeting will be posted to the board's website, and instructions to attend the State of Hawaii virtual board meetings may be found online. Okay, at this time, we're going to take a roll call of board members. I'm Carrie Oliveira, I'm the chair, I'm present. For those of you who are attending board members, if you're attending virtually, please indicate that you are alone in a non-public location if that is the case. Karen Boyer,
Present.
Bradley Kuo,
Present.
Bill Riggs,
Present.
Sherry Shields Hanson,
Present.
and Terrence Aratani.
Present, and I am alone.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. All right. So we will we'll first go through the agenda and then I'll ask for testimony here momentarily. The chair's report. I don't have a report. Yay. I have no announcements. I have nothing to say. All right, next thing will be our approval of the minutes from open session, executive session, and public hearing of the April 4, 2024 meeting. Does anybody have any revisions or amendments to that? Non-substantive, we already provided a typo correction to the executive officers in the open session minutes, correct? Is that where it was? So is there a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Bradley, so moved.
Is there a second?
This is Karen. I second the motion.
Thank you. Does any board member wish to vote nay, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Minutes are approved. All right. We have somebody who wants to provide testimony to the board right now. Mark, go ahead and promote them. Oh, I don't know, but I want to find out because it's making me crazy. She's got to come over first. She's in the ether. Who is it? It's my app.
It's time to be promoted.
Okay, that's excellent. Glad we got that sorted. All right, we'll move then on to our next agenda item, which is the executive officers report. So take it away, EOs.
Okay, so I'll go first. The proposed amendments to chapter 60, title 16, chapter 89, section 22 pertaining to temporary permits. We talked with this regulatory review board to both to go ahead to submit to the governor's office. However, it's on hold. And you'll find out later when we do the legislative update, because it is pertaining to a temporary permit, but they're going to give you a status report on Senate Bill 63, which is also pertaining to temporary permits. So it's ready to go if we have to move it forward. Right now it's on hold. Okay. For the random audit, Mark has done actually quite a few. Alex is also doing some review, and myself. So I have this much left out of the 2 boxes. And then I have a little box of deficiency ones. And then I still have to go through the emails to see if anybody submitted. So hopefully by the next meeting, you'll have a count, and we'll find out from you guys if you want us to start a follow-up letter to those who did not respond. Because they're travel nurses, so they didn't get it and they didn't respond. And is that an excuse to? So we'll find out what you guys want to, how to move forward on those who respond.
Okay.
Okay, and that's one. And then 2024 legislative.
Okay, so status update on the 2024 legislative session. HB 2415, that was the NLC bill, was deferred indefinitely. SB 1035, this is the bill that Bradley brought to our attention at the last meeting. It exempts medical and dental services provided by healthcare providers to patients who receive Medicaid, Medicare, or TRICARE benefits from the general excise tax. Applies to taxable years beginning after December 31st, 2023. So this bill passed its final reading yesterday as amended in a CD1, and so it's going to go to the governor.
That's awesome.
Okay. SB 63, this is a carryover from last year. It authorizes the Board of Nursing to issue temporary permits for 6-month periods to out-of-state licensed practical nurses and registered nurses or who hold a multi-state license issued by another state, territory, or foreign country under certain circumstances. Provides an exception from licensing requirements to nurses who are licensed in another state, territory, or foreign country and accompanying a patient from out of state for a period of less than 2 weeks and who are not employed or affiliated with a healthcare entity in the state, appropriates funds. So this made it to conference last year and didn't go any further, and it was brought back this year. So to kind of break down what the conference draft 2, which is the latest draft, which just passed the floor, is about. It's kind of similar to the rules that we just approved at the last meeting, insofar as it's about temporary permits and to expedite the process. Two of the things that are not required for temporary permits are criminal background check, fingerprinting, and an NPDB report. And so under CD2, temporary permits have to be issued within 10 business days, if all the requirements are met. Now, at the same time, you can apply for licensure by endorsement and a temporary permit at the same time. So expediting the process, allowing you to have a temporary permit for up to a year while we process license by endorsement application. And then the last part is there's an exception now for nurses who are here for less than 2 weeks. They don't need to be licensed. So for folks who are like accompanying a patient here for like a vacation or something like that, they don't have to go through our processes or get a temporary permit. Did I cover everything? Okay. And then moving on to HCR 187. So if you recall, this is now a Legislative Reference Bureau study on best practices for nurse staffing. Prior, it had been a research group, working group, excuse me, headed by the chair of the Board of Nursing, and is now an LRB study. And that is still the case. It has been adopted by the House as of yesterday. And that's all I have.
Okay. Interesting session. Thanks, guys, for managing that whole situation. That is one part of your job I do not envy. Is there a comment from the gallery?
Yes.
Director Reichardt.
I'm looking over, hi, Laura Reichardt, Center for Nursing. I'm looking at the CD2 draft as compared to the HD2, which is the last bill that was entertained by committee last year. And in the HD3, no, there was only an HD2. Is there an HD3? Oh, it's an HD3. And then thank you for bringing my attention to the correct draft. In the HD3, under exemptions, it had only stricken under a non-renewable permit related to the practice of nursing for graduates. So under exemptions, there was one of the exemptions was the practice of nursing of a nursing graduate who's working on getting their NCLEX. And in the CD2, that whole section is removed. So there's no longer an exemption for new graduates who are working on getting their NCLEX. Is there, so when we had conversations last year, and I didn't see that that was part in the provisions removed. Last year that there were hospitals who said that they were using that provision to expedite onboarding of new graduates. Do you have any comments, or you guys have had any discussion about this whole section being removed as compared to the HD3?
Sorry. Is it still in, is it still in?
Checking it now.
I remember you having this discussion last year and you wanted it put back in. So
we ended up having the word non-renewable removed, so that
okay, so these students, new grads, you said?
they're new grads. They have graduated from nursing school. They have applied to get their NCLEX, so they're waiting on the exam date. But employers are using this provision to hire them as a nurse and do the orientation before they do nursing care. So they're hiring them into the role, but the delivery of clinical nursing services doesn't start until, in practice, this is what's happening, until the NCLEX exam is passed. But from an HR perspective, they're able to hire them into an RN role instead of doing like Frankensteining them into the organization, starting them as some kind of random job.
So how would that provision though prevent them from doing that now?
They would have to have a much more complicated HR process because they would not be able to hire someone who is not a registered nurse or has an exemption into a nursing role. So they would have to create like a fake role for 3 months.
I mean, these people don't have, okay, so they're no longer gonna be exempt.
Correct.
And they didn't have a license to begin with because they're still waiting to take the
They're
NCLEX.
pre-licensure, correct.
So they could still get hired,
Just by any other name,
whatever, yeah.
yeah.
You know, put that back in there.
So the old provision said by non-renewal permit, right?
It
So,
was a practice, it was, yeah, I think that the dialogue that we had last year was that because it's an exemption, there's not any employer reporting to DCCA, but they were using this exemption. So it was one of those things where the employers were using it, but there wasn't a permit. There's not a
Right.
physical permit. There's not like a piece of paper.
right,
Process or form that is utilized to make.
they were just
kind of
like, they were reading it as a permission to do this.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
An allowance.
That makes sense.
An allowance, yeah, so they were using it as an allowance.
Even though we weren't issuing a permit.
Yeah, even though you weren't using the permit, they were using it as. They were referring to this to confidently hire people with the expectation that they could onboard them and then start their clinical practice as soon as they pass the NCLEX. So it's still a pretty conservative, they were using it pretty conservatively. They weren't having unlicensed personnel who hadn't passed their NCLEX yet provide clinical services, and were using it to expedite recruitment of new grads.
And they can't do that without this exemption.
I was gonna say, I feel like they could. I feel like that would be a policy discretion, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're hiring a person into a role, but the Nurse Practice Act is about the delivery of nursing care, right? So whatever you do as an administrative or an HR process says, we're gonna hire this person into a role, but you cannot actually do anything that we define as nursing practice until such a point that you have a license. I don't think anything necessarily prevents them from hiring somebody in the same way that they've already been doing it.
I guess it depends on how your HR is and how
Right.
compliant they are, because most organizations, what they would do is say, okay, the RN2 role is a new grad, right? RN1 is a licensed. But in order to hire them into an RN2, you know, I get what she's saying about the exemption, because otherwise you would hire them as a ward clerk.
Right, something other than a nurse.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll bring this to our CNO committee so they are, or collective, so they're aware.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just gotta plan for it, right? But I appreciate the conversations. We can plan for it. And we'll figure out if the employers from their side need to address this from a statute perspective to bring it back. Generally,
Right.
the Center for Nursing, generally that goes through their employers for association, the Center for Nursing to do it, but we'll definitely bring. We'll bring that conversation to them to make sure that they're planning for this change, that with all of the events that happened around this bill, we missed that one detail, so we'll just plan for it.
So did we make any changes to it, the HD3? Or just stayed?
The
as is?
HD3, I mean, I would have to go and do like a full, so that the Senate drafts were going to remove it in its entirety.
Okay.
And then the HD3 brought it back, but removed non-renewable
Yeah.
permit, so that it wasn't a permit,
Right.
it was just an exemption.
Right,
To kind of correct
Yeah.
the discrepancy that was
so
happening.
that would be my recommendation, if you guys are gonna introduce legislation to amend that section, take out that non-renewable permit.
So just return it in the form that it was in the HD3 that was kind of agreed upon.
Phrase it as a proper exemption.
Cool. I appreciate that recommendation, thank you.
We did discuss. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
you.
you. Any other discussion on the legislative whatnots? again, thank you guys for navigating that entire very interesting process for us. It was, I feel like it was a very long, weird session this time, so thanks for that.
Correct.
Okay, so last thing on the EO's agenda is scam phone calls. One of you reporting on that? No?
Print it out.
What's right here?
So, yeah,
Agenda.
I guess they're getting professionals, healthcare professionals, including their doctors, nurses are getting scammed. That's and or saying they're from Rico or whatever, and yeah.
So as a note to emphasize those of you,
Yes.
for those of you who are listening,
Can you read it then?
I can, I'll just read the whole thing if that's prudent, right? Okay, so this is a notice, I guess.
Press release.
Press release, thank you, from PVL and the governor's office. So this is dated April 17th. Beware of scam phone calls targeting licensed professionals. The Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs is advising the public to be aware of phone scammers impersonating state officials targeting licensed professionals and businesses with false threats of investigation. Reports indicate that individuals impersonating state officials have contacted at least 2 current or former licensees, stating that the Regulated Industries Complaints Office, otherwise known as RICO, has filed a complaint against them. To add credibility to the fraudulent calls, the perpetrators utilized caller ID spoofing to make it seem like the calls were coming from DCCA's Professional and Vocational Licensing Division. The reports involve licensees in the medical professionals, a physician, including a physician and a psychologist, purported contact by the Hawaii Medical Board. You guys good?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a concern that calls may be targeting medical professionals such as nurses, pharmacists, and others. A professional or vocational licensee that is under investigation by the department would first be notified in writing from RICO, which is not affiliated with any out-of-state agency or task force. Notices from RICO are sent on official letterhead and include contact information for all RICO offices. RICO never requests private or sensitive information over the phone, never solicits wire transfers, and never verbally suspends licenses. Only the board has the authority to suspend a license through a formal written action. Additionally, PVL, through its 52 licensing programs, does not initiate contact with the public regarding formal investigations. PVL programs may, however, contact applicants and licensees to check on the status of an application, request additional information, etc. If you receive a suspicious phone call, hang up and do not share any personal information. Verify the caller's legitimacy by contacting the agency using a known verified phone number found at DCCA's website at cca.hawaii.gov is what you should be looking for in the URL instead of relying on caller ID. Impersonating a public servant is a criminal offense and will be investigated and prosecuted. If you have received any calls similar to the one described above, or you're seeking to verify contact from DCCA, please contact your respective licensing program or PVL at 808-586-3000. And a list of programs and contact information is available at cca.hawaii.gov/PVL. So be careful. All right. Any questions, comments, discussion on any of that? Thank you, EOs. All right, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is reports from Hawaii nursing organizations. We will begin with the Hawaii State Center for Nursing. Hi, Laura.
What is going on, because she said that we can manage it next year. Thank you for your advice. So the Center for Nursing is having this month. Next month, we are in it. We are in May. May is Nurses Month, and we're very excited to have a couple different webinars. We're going to have, starting with the one on the 7th, Carrie Oliveira will be providing a webinar on the well-being of the nursing workforce as reported by nurses through the Nursing Workforce Survey. We will also, Carrie, we will be piloting a podcast. We're very excited. We are going to figure it out. So that will also be a continuing nursing education. So as soon as the podcast is rendered, it will be up and live. And then we will also be, I will be doing a policy debrief on the 1st of the month. And then really exciting in 2022, we got funding for nurse faculty, professional development, particularly nurses moving into the clinical instructor space. And so we are going to be, we're inviting Health Impact, which is the Center for Nursing in California. They have partnered with the very famous Patricia Benner to put on a nurse faculty training, or a nurse faculty, it's kind of like a 202 training, so a higher level skills than we did last year, and that will be Friday of next month. And we are
Week.
yes, thank you. So that's super exciting. In addition to the legislature funds, we're using nurse license funds to pay for the remainder of that expense. So no schools and no individuals are going to incur any expense for that. And then in addition to that, we will be releasing our nursing workforce supply during Nurses Week. And so please keep your eye out for that. And then I'm just going to like blow the news a little bit early, but in June, we found out that Carrie is going to get the very first National Forum of Nursing Workforce Centers Subscriber Award.
What does that mean? Subscribe.
So thank you for that. So we cannot call like NCSBN, like each board of nursing is a number, but because of how different states are, because of their like individual state laws, you can't call it membership, so we call them subscribers. But it's basically like she is getting so this is the first time we're having awards, and she is the first recipient of like a member of a nursing workforce center who's fantastic.
Fantastic.
If you didn't know, yes. So I'm very excited about that. So we'll be celebrating her in June. I just wanted to let you guys know.
That is her second award this year.
Nominating me for grab. Yeah, apparently. Well, I don't, it's,
AANP Hawaii.
Hawaii,
Yeah.
it's the national organization. National for.
yeah, I'm gonna go hide now because you get ridiculous. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
So your podcast, you'll get PE credit, is that what you?
Yeah, so all three of those events, actually all four, including the faculty, we'll have debriefs. So we're trying to contribute to free and accessible CEs, so nurses can meet their continuing competency requirements. The other thing I do want to note legislatively, which I think is would be very important for the Board of Nursing's awareness, is HB 1800, which is the state budget bill. The UH Manoa went in, so it was a Board of Regents request that got put into the governor's request, and they got full funding for their UH West Oahu, UH Manoa program for their second year of instruction. So it's a 3-year instruction process. The school gave them their faculty for the first year. The second year, they got it from this HB 1800. So they'll have to go in for that third year of instruction next year. And then what that means is they'll be able to run a second cohort a year, and they're already admitted. So it's 24 additional students a year that UH Manoa will be producing through that.
This is for nursing only?
Nursing, yeah. So the students are doing all of their prereqs at UH West Oahu, and then they are applying to UH Manoa, but all of the instructors are traveling to UH West Oahu, so they'll continue to learn on the west side.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Any questions for Laura? Thank you. We appreciate you. All right, Hawaii A&A. Do we have Linda or any other rep from Hawaii A&A today?
Texas, she's on vacation in Canada and forgot to send a delegate.
Excellent. Good. Well, I hope she enjoys her Canadian holiday. Ooh, holidays in Canada. A Canadian.
She's to her home.
Yes, I was like, I forgot that is her home. All right, and then it happened. We have Jeremy.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Is going well. What a busy legislative session. So I guess the first big thing for Happen is we selected and chose our very first executive officer. So we would like to very publicly welcome Lindsay Takamatsu to the Happen team. She's been a tremendous support already, as a matter of fact. Legislatively, a lot of stuff went on, as you guys know. So some things that we did was express our support for the GE tax bill that I heard this morning went through and is about to be signed by the governor. So we're incredibly happy about that. The nurse license compact, we were incredibly opposed to and expressed that as much as we possibly could. We also sent an email out to all the legislators, and we were very pleased that that got squashed in conference. So we will continue to pose that if it comes back up in the next legislative session. We're very pleased that we feel like we kind of lead a coalition of nursing organizations that's against this bill, and we'll continue to oppose that. In our communication with the legislators, however, we did express a very strong support for SB 63. We think that the temporary licensures is a very, very, very good alternative to what the nurse license compact was seeking to fix. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to take that. I know there's a lot of stuff to do. So as always, thank you guys so much for letting us share what we got going on and Happen. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jeremy. We appreciate you.
Oh, one more thing.
Sure.
Conference in partnership with Queens and HAPA. That's coming up on May the 18th. Sorry about that. Yeah, one more thing to put in.
On what day?
May the 18th.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Hapa. Oh, who's Hapa?
Yes.
That is the Hawaii Association of Physicians Associates.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else? All right, well, that moves us then to the next item on our agenda. We will be considering applications at this time. The board is very likely to go into executive session. So what will typically happen, applicants, if you're here, the board will go into executive session. We will discuss the applications. If we have questions for you about your application, we will pull you into the executive session so we have the opportunity to talk to you. That can take a minute, depending on how intensive our discussions are in the executive session over confidential information, and we confer with our attorney. So please be patient. Please also make sure that you have your phone set to notifications on, so that if we call you, you hear us calling for you and we can pull you into the conversation. So if you'll just sit tight for us and be patient, we appreciate that.
Hold up.
Yeah.
I need to know who's here.
Oh,
Applicants.
are there any applicants who are here who are may be interested in providing testimony on your own application?
Because I can't see the list from here, so.
Yes. What do we have there?
So we have Jody.
Who? Jody.
Wait.
Jody Francis Rowlett.
Rowlett.
We have Gregory Parker,
Okay.
Joy Litaba,
Itaba.
Joy Litaba. IX9.
and Nicole Malone.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Gregory.
Cole, Melanie, Gregory, Kent Parker, I think Joy Litaba, and Jody Francis Rowlett. I can give you their numbers if you want.
Okay, awesome.
There's four. Four people.
There's 5, right? 4? Four. Okay. Nicole, Gregory, Joy, and Jody is who I have. Okay, perfect. We got 4. Okay, so we'll be particularly alert to making sure that we contact you folks if we have any questions on your application. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to move to go into executive session in accordance with HRS 92-4 and 92-5 to consider and evaluate personal information relating to individuals applying for professional or vocational licenses, and to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. Is there a second?
This is Bradley, second.
Thank you, Bradley. Does any board member wish to vote no, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. We are in executive session.
Hi, Keandra Jordan. This is Mark, Secretary for the Board of Nursing. We are trying to call you, with the phone number you provided on your application. Will you please pick up? Thank you. We're calling you now.
All right, we're back. Thank you, everybody, for your patience with us as we discuss those applications. At this time, I would like to move to approve the ratification list for the licenses for LPNs, RNs, and APRNs is attached to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second, this is Bradley.
Thank you, Bradley. Does any board member wish to vote nay, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. All right, this time I will entertain a motion related to the applications for licensed practical nurse for Leanna Marie Reed, Detrish Owen Simpson, and Danette Butler.
Hi, this is Jill. I make a motion to approve the LPN licenses for Leanna Marie Reed, Detrish Simpson, and Danette Butler.
Is there a second?
Karen,
I'll
second.
second Terrence.
I'll take Karen's second, but thank you, Terrence. Does any board member wish to vote no, or recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read the name so you can just say, I move to approve.
Okay,
Got it?
okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to registered nursing applications. Is there a motion related to the applications for Gregory Kent Parker, Nathan Rowe, Tamaris Udokpan, Cynthia Derugo, Dolores Williams, Joy Litaba, Tanisha Kadiri, Heather Hassara, Sule De Leon, Brenda Both, Jody Francis Rowlett, and Lakeisha Ford Johnson?
I make a motion to approve
The aforementioned RN
the
license.
affirmation RN licenses. Yeah.
Is there a second?
This is Sherry Shields Hanson. I second that motion.
Thank you, Sherry. Does any board member wish to vote no, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Is there a motion related to the RN application for Nicole Bellamy?
Yes, this is Jill. I make based on oral and written testimony, the application and Herzing's correspondence. The board is inclined to deny this application. I move to deny this application based on 457-12A1.
Is there a second?
Karen,
I'll
second.
second Terrence.
Terrence, you gotta be faster. I'll take Karen's second. Does any board member wish to vote nay, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Is there a motion related to the RN application for Patricia Ann Givney?
Hi, this is Jill. Based on the written testimony, and fraudulent transcript information, I move to deny this application for Patricia Givney based on 457-12A1.
Is there a second?
I'll second Terrence.
Terrence, does any board member wish to vote nay, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. And is there a motion related to the application for registered nursing license for Keandra Jordan?
Hi, this is Jill. Based on written testimony, oral testimony, and the application provided, I move to deny the application for Keandra Jordan based on 457-12A8 and 457-12A9.
Is there a second?
This is Sherry Shields Hanson. I second that motion.
Thank you, Sherry. Does any board member wish to vote no, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Can I get a motion related to the applications for advanced practice registered nursing licenses for Alexander Acevedo and Nathan Rowe?
Hi, this is Jill. I move to approve the aforementioned APRN licenses.
Is there a second?
This is Bradley. I second.
Thank you, Bradley. Does any board member wish to vote no, recuse themselves, or abstain from voting on that motion? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, the motion carries. And that concludes the agenda item related to nurse license applications. Mark,
Who raised it?
there are two raised hands. Who do we have hands raised from?
Jody and Ian Welch.
Jody?
Which one was Jody?
Joy? Oh,
Jody.
Jody Francis Rowlett.
Rowlett.
Check.
We approved her.
Okay, you can bring Jody over. And who's the other person you said, Mark?
Lynn Welch.
Okay,
We're not children.
After this, her name and what organization and what agenda item.
okay, got you. Hi, Jody.
I think it's still good morning. My quick question is does the APRN piece of that transcend to what was decided today?
We had a like.
We don't have an APRN license application for you, I don't think.
Okay,
Did you
Did you apply? You
if I-
applied?
as far as I knew, yes, ma'am, but maybe I'm so sure, maybe it seems like no.
Sorry, you're breaking up. What did you say?
She thought she did.
So you
I,
submitted your
I'm
transcript?
pretty sure because
Hi, Jody. This is Executive
yes,
Officer.
ma'am.
We don't have a
Yes.
APRN application for you on our online platform
On our agenda?
or on the agenda. but-
I'll go ahead and.
Yep.
Not a problem. Will this go through this? Will this go through the same process again if I go ahead and do that today then?
Possibly.
Okay.
Whether we wanted to see hers back.
Right.
Yes, so do apply for APRN and it may go through the same process as the RN.
Yes, ma'am. Perfect. Do you guys meet every single week or? Well,
No, we meet
sorry to
monthly.
interrupt.
We meet on the first Thursday of every month. Normally, generally.
Okay. So there's a potential that it would be a month from now before that might get decided?
If we don't have your application, if you didn't file it as of now, there's no guarantee you'll be on the next month's agenda. So you should
Okay.
just get it in as soon as possible.
Yes, ma'am. Is there any other way that I could expedite that?
We don't expedite applications, sorry.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. Okay, thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, on purpose. Thank you.
Okay, Lynn Welch,
Okay.
I will be promoting you to panelist.
Hello. Hi, can you state your name and or any organization that you represent, if any, and what agenda item you're testifying on today?
Hi, this is Dr. Lynn Welch, and I represent Big Island Pain. And I am in relation to Jody Rowlett, who just spoke. So I just wanted to ask, we are desperate in Hilo for providers. I have had to look for 4 months to even get applications from candidates who could even perform the duties we need. I am beyond desperate in my location. And I don't know how the mishap happened, but she is licensed as an APRN in 5 states. I know you're looking at that agenda item. I've been on this call the whole time listening. So I truly cannot wait 2 months to have another provider here. I'm that desperate. We're gonna have a crisis on this island if I don't have a licensed provider. So what can we do to move this along?
Well, we don't have an application for, she didn't even apply for an APRN license.
And
So-
I'm assuming that's a mistake on her end, and I apologize for that. But I'm asking if that is submitted today, she has licensure in multiple states. What can we do so that we're not waiting? I truly, I have one part-time physician. I fly back and forth. We have over 500 patients, and I am so short to even see these patients, and they're all going to end up in the emergency room to be seen.
Doctor, we appreciate that there is a nursing or a health workforce crisis in this state, but a workforce crisis does not enable us to depart from our typical license processing protocols. So this really must begin with the applicant submitting an application for APRN licensure, and it will be processed in accordance with the process for license processing that we typically use. And I'm sorry that you're in a crisis.
And I guess I'm just asking, I'm not trying to be snappy or mean here. I'm just asking, is there anything for that normal process that could keep it from having to wait 2 months before it's at the board? Does it always come to the board?
Best thing, no, that this is a case that required the board's review because of the
Okay.
the issue with the previous employer. The best advice I can give you is that the application needs to be complete and free from deficiencies, and that will assist the application in moving along the processing smoothly, and that will
Okay.
inhibit delays. Executive officers
Okay.
also have comments.
Yep, so, you know, she will have to get her graduate level degree in nursing, her proof of her national certification. If she did an NPDB self-query report for her RN licenses only, as you mentioned, she holds other APRN licenses in other states, she would have to get a NPDB self-query for those APRN licenses. And verification of every APRN license held or currently holding. She needs to get
Okay.
all to us as soon as possible. I will waive the criminal background check, so she doesn't have to redo that. But she needs to
Okay.
get all other stuff that we really need in order to continue processing an application.
Okay, and I'm going to do an oversight just to make sure all those pieces are there when we get it submitted. Is there, I know there's the general email, but is there any other email to communicate if there are questions that would be better? I know we've spoken with Kelly in the office as well.
I don't know, Kelly. Do we have a Kelly?
It's whoever answers your normal board phone line.
Okay, can I ask you to do me a favor then, Dr. Welch? Can you email the nursing board? Nursing
Sure,
at
just to the,
DCCA.hawaii.gov.
okay,
Just email that for your testimony before the board this morning regarding Jody Rowlett, you know, you're trying to see if we can try to process her application, but you know, she needs to submit it. We can't do anything.
well, I understand completely. So that's a separate conversation and I was not a part of overseeing that. And I don't want to bother you guys any longer. I'm just trying to make sure it's done right now, you know? So that would be great. I appreciate your help greatly. I thank you. We have another one I'm trying to bring on board who's starting his application as well. So I will oversee his so that we don't have any mistakes there either. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
We're in Zoom.
Our next agenda item is a reminder that our next meeting is happening on June 6th, 2024. Does any board member know already that they cannot be in attendance at that meeting?
Zoom.
Will be Zoom.
Terry Shields will be Zoom.
You'll be Zoomed. I may not be here.
Me too then.
Okay, that sounds like a personal problem, but if that's the case, I'll let you know. As soon as you know, if you cannot attend, please let the EOs know so that we can make sure we have a quorum. And that concludes our agenda for the May Board of Nursing meeting. We are adjourned.
If Carrie can't be here.